Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the MIH on 4 Jasper TV on the World Beat. Let's go around the world on education today. My name is SALUSA BASQUIN, and I will be your host. And with me is Alex Auger.
Alex Auger. Yes, sir.
And earlier while we were talking, we were talking about the importance of Haitian Creole. Please do me a favor. Make sure you teach your children as much Haitian Creole as possible. I know taking them to vacation makes it a whole lot easier. That's how I taught my first 3. But the last 3, unfortunately, have not been to Haiti due to what's going on. But education is also an issue. Next year will be 40 years as we celebrate Éducation c'est pouvoir. Éducation c'est pouvoir. There was a time when Haitians in South Florida, did not have a secretary or a translator who understood our language. We didn't have a security guard on campus that we could speak to. We didn't have a Haitian teacher. There were very few of us around those times. And we were still in college, but we were fighting because when we went to high school, we didn't have it. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome an assistant principal who has gone through the ranks. Alex Auger. Bonsoir, mon frère.
Bonsoir.
How are you, my brother?
I am wonderful. How are you, sir?
It is a pleasure to speak to a young man.
Yes, sir.
As young as you, which means that we have a future in education.
Definitely.
Alex, let me take back a little bit. Let's go a little bit personal. Where did you grow up? When did you come to the United States? Were you born in the United States? Those little stuff.
Excellent. Well, I was born in Haiti. I was actually born in Port-au-Prince, l'Hôpital Général in Port-au-Prince, Haiti. And I grew up in Port-au-Paix, which is in the northern part of Haiti. Northwest. And my parents moved to the United States in 1983.
Okay.
So I grew up in New York, completed most of my education in New York City and New York State. And then I moved down to Florida in 2006 to open up a new high school that was being built called Treasure Coast High School in Port St. Lucie, Florida.
If I understand perfectly, you started out in education. You started as someone who was interested in education.
Originally, I was not interested in education. I wanted to go to medical school. But I had a former professor, a teacher, and also a coach who took a look at me and said, you know what, you need to be an educator because you have the personality to be an educator. And she made some phone calls and got me right into education. And I remember the first day I stepped foot into the classroom and I said, good morning, students, my name is Mr. Auger. I couldn't believe I was actually an educator, and I never left since, and I love what I do and I love being part of it.
So your degree is in what field? What field is your
My
degree?
degree is actually in French and also in biology and chemistry.
Okay, so,
Yeah, so
you really wanted to be a doctor just like me. I mean, by the way, there are many of us who started out as pre-med.
Yes.
I started out pre-med and finished up as pre-med psychology and philosophy, and ended up in education in 1987 because a young man, now mind you, I was volunteering at Gratney Elementary. There was a young man there at the elementary school in the 3rd grade who was 13 and was still in the 3rd grade.
Wow.
I walked in and he had a gold chain, and not a regular chain, a padlock, the pad chain that you would tie up a truck with around his neck, spread in gold. And I asked him, what's your name? He says, my name is King. I said, no, what is your what was your giving name by your parents? He says, Andre, but I'm the king around here. I said, I believe that. I believe you're the king. Well, to make a long story short, Andre ended up finishing elementary school that same year because of my volunteerism. And Andre, if you're watching right now, he's the reason why I am in education.
Wow.
In addition to that, 2 years ago, 2021, 4 years ago, I'm hosting the Father's Day event. And guess who walked into the event as one of the father honoraries?
Andre.
Andre. Guess what Andre does now? He works for Jackson Memorial Hospital. He is the administrator in the financial department at Jackson Memorial Hospital. Ladies and gentlemen, being an educator is a wonderful thing. Please, let's follow this man. Let's listen to what he's got to tell us.
When you're an educator, you touch the future and you impact lives. And that's the biggest reward of being an educator, is that you impact other people's lives.
In addition to touching people's life, I mean, do you miss not having been a doctor?
Not at all. Not at all. As a matter of fact, I've touched so many lives, you know, being an educator. I have no regrets at all. As a matter of fact, I was, you know, telling a colleague of mine, there's not one day I get up and not want to go to work. I've never been really stressed at work to the point where I say I do not want to work. So I love education. I think I was made for education, like my
You
my
eat,
coach.
sleep, breathe education.
Indeed, indeed.
Yes. Now, you said you're in Port St. Lucie. Which school system do you work for?
So I work for St. Lucie County School Board. I'm currently an assistant principal at Treasure Coast High School. Like I said, I came to St. Lucie County in 2006, and I worked at Treasure Coast High School as a biology and chemistry teacher. And then in 2008, I received my position at Port St. Lucie High School as an assistant principal, and they moved me to a school in Fort Pierce, Samuel Gaines Academy. And then in 2017, they transferred me back to Treasure Coast High School as the assistant principal, and I've been there since then.
On this show, we may have a Haitian American young man, young woman, a Jamaican young man, young woman, Trinidadian, Station from Statia, from St. Thomas, Virgin Island, you know, like us, who came to the United States and wondering, what do I do with my life? How do you prepare, or what should they prepare, or how did you prepare yourself for education?
The first advice I would give anyone, you know, who comes to this country is to take the opportunity this country really has to offer. You know, it doesn't really matter what you look like if you have the desire to learn and be someone you can be. Because I've watched people that come to this country with nothing but the clothes on their back, and they are right now in position.
You're talking to one right now.
Well, let me tell you, there are so many stories.
I came with a T-shirt that said San Francisco 49ers in a khaki pair of pants that I used to go to school with.
Yeah.
That's what I came here with.
So the first advice is having a dream, you know, and keeping your dream in front of you. You know what I mean? And make sure you go to school to get an education to help you achieve those dreams. You're gonna face obstacles no matter what in life. But the part about being, you know, facing obstacles is never giving up on what you really expect to receive, what you really want out of life. So it's keeping that faith.
Your dream was to be a doctor. Did you fail your dream, or did you understand? Do you now have a different understanding of becoming a doctor, that a doctor is just a title, as a doctorate in education, a doctorate in psychology, doctorate in chemistry, because when we were growing up, you know, as a kid, I said the same. I'm like, I want to be a doctor. But one of my teachers, he was an Indian guy, he said, if you want to be a doctor, I'm a doctor. I am a doctor in chemistry. I am a doctor. I said, no, you're not. He says, yes, I am a doctor. If you would like to be a doctor, I will send you to Georgia to become a doctor in podiatry. Podiatry is, you will be taking care of people's feet. Or you can go to chiropractor. You become a doctor in chiropractic medicine. So do you feel that you have failed your dreams, or do you feel that you're now achieving the dream that was set for you?
Not at all. I did not fail my dream. As a matter of fact, I had two dreams.
Yes.
One of them was to be a medical doctor. The second one was being in high school forever. because I enjoyed being in high school so much, and I wish I could stay in high school. And I end up being, worked at the high school for the majority of my career, except for 2 years out of K through 8 school. But I end up being in high school, and I've never missed a day. So when you think about me not achieving the dream of being a doctor,
You've reached your goal.
I've reached it. Not only that,
and surpassed.
but I'm currently working on my doctorate. So eventually, I'm going to achieve both of the dreams. So there is no regrets, not one bit here.
As a Haitian American, growing up in America, growing up in New York, you came after that big boat of Frenchie.
Yeah.
You came, and in the years that you came, the Frenchie had gone, and you were comfortable.
Well,
but as you made it down here, and you noticed that some of the issues that other kids were dealing with before you and solved were still here in Port St. Lucie.
Well, I will.
How do you deal with that as an educator or as an administrator?
I will tell you the same challenges I faced as a student growing up in New York, being called Frenchie. They were still around. As a matter of fact, the two of my best friends, they call us the French Connections. Okay, so that aspect of bullying, was still around in the 80s, 90s, and moving down here, although now we have laws against all of that aspect against bullying, but students still face some of that in the school system. But us as administrators, we do have safeguards to protect the children, when they are facing those challenges.
How big is your school in terms of a Haitian population?
Wow, that is a very tough question. Our school, we average about 3,000 students right now, with opening up of a new school in St. Lucie County. We are sitting right around 2,900 students. And right now it's pretty much a third per I would say per groups. Nevertheless, I would say that about a good 20-25% of that population is of Haitian descendant or Haitian origin.
At your school, which is one of the main schools in Port St. Lucie, you have about 25%.
I would safely say that.
So we are really carving our name on the wall right now.
We are definitely making an impact in St. Lucie County. As a matter of fact, moving here in 2006, the number of Haitian and Haitian descendant in St. Lucie County has pretty much doubled. And you could see it with our businesses that are opening up in our communities, our churches that are opening up in the communities. You can see the rise in the Haitian population in St. Lucie County.
In every school system, every new calendar year brings in new challenges, new students, new staff, new rules. How do you prepare for the new year? In addition to that, we also have a new president. How do you prepare for all the new rules that may affect our students?
So, when the students are on vacation during the summer, the administrators, some of us do get some time off, but you do.
No, let's be real. They get no time off. They don't have any time off.
So we stay around and we look at our policies and procedures. We work on the student handbook to reorganize some of the work that we previously worked on. We look at the teacher handbook. We look at the student code of conduct, so we could look at our policies and procedures to make sure they are in line with our vision or the vision of the school or the vision of the principal, and make revision to that. So that's basically how we prepare to meet the challenges of the students. Now, in terms of
new rules,
exactly.
New regulations. New president.
In terms of
new rules from Washington D.C. down to Tallahassee, down to into the schools.
So one thing we have to keep in mind, we are a nation of law and order, so we must follow the laws and the procedures that are set in place. So whatever comes down from Washington to the states, we follow it to the T. We are not politicians, we are educators. So our main business is to educate our children. with the guideline provided by the Department of Education.
ICE have been doing a lot of entry on campus. How does your school prepare for issues as such if ICE was to enter into your school? How do you guys prepare to work with them?
Well, the school board, has the policies in place. Of course, they are law enforcement agencies. If they come on our campuses, we must allow them on our campuses.
They must first of all deal with you.
Yeah,
beforehand.
Yes, they will deal with the principal or the principal in charge at the time. It could be the principal or the assistant principals. So
and they have to deal with the security.
Exactly.
Which means the police, whoever is on.
Yeah, they will go through all the necessary procedures to enter our campus. But whatever they need to achieve on our campus, we must allow them to do so, because we cannot hindering the process.
And the reason why I'm asking this question, I want to make sure that the parents understand.
Yeah.
Because people seem to think that, no, we've got to fight. We're not. That's not our duty as educators. Our time to fight is not when we're on campus. We work for a system, and within that system, and that system is part of the government. And I want to make sure that you understand, we are not the ones to fight that battle. That battle is for your lawyer to fight. That battle is for your elected officials to fight, and not for the educators to fight.
So I will say, we must adhere to the law, because without law, there's chaos. Okay, a country without law is a country that is in chaos. We do not want that. So we follow the law. If we want to change the law, what we must do, we must vote.
We must go to the ballot box.
We must go to the ballot and vote for someone to represent what we believe in. So that's the one thing I can tell the community that's watching. You have to make your vote count.
So please pay attention to what we just said right now. Your school system is not a sanctuary system. Do not expect your child to be protected on that campus. They are protected at 100%. One, they have principals, assistant principals, security guards, and then they have police officers to protect them from the outside. But when it comes to the law, to the government, reaching out to one of your child, I know if you're watching right now, a lot of people would like to deal with ICE, but your child have been arrested on a school campus because they broke the law.
Yeah.
If your son broke my jaw, a police officer will then arrest them. So please understand that the law still reigns on campus.
The law still applies.
Yes.
The law, applies on campuses. First and foremost, as an educator, our number one priority is student safety. So we make sure all students are safe on our campuses. Second, we educate our children. However, if they break the law, we must adhere to the law. So if ICE show up to our campuses, we will follow the procedures that are in place to support those procedures and policies. Nevertheless, we have to allow them to do what they want to do and what they need to do. So we cannot protect the children from the law, but we will protect the children to the best of ability at all times.
Speaking of legalities, I'm using my phone right now. I'm using technology for a positive purpose, for me to keep up with the questions that I wanted to ask you, with the question that would help the parents that are watching. But this cell phone could also be a hindrance to education inside the classroom. The earpod. Today, finally, the state legislature has given you guys an ammunition to work with that. How does that ammunition come down into the high school where you are?
This is a very important bill that was signed by the governor, not allowing cell phone on our campuses, because the cell phone has been a tremendous issue for us to deal with in terms of education. When the students are in the classroom, our priorities are to teach the students so they can learn, and so they can learn to actually really take over when we are no longer here. If they are always using the cell phone, the content area that we really need them to learn is not really getting up here, because they are being distracted by that cell phone. So it is very important for parents to understand that that cell phone, it can be a positive thing if it's used in a proper manner, but inside the classroom, it's really stopping our children from learning the content.
Allow me to speak to each and every one of you watching right now. I know if you have a child and your child is in high school, middle school, elementary, this is a very important tool. We can learn from it. This is a library that can take us from West Palm Beach to Tallahassee, from Tallahassee to New York, from New York to California, from California to England, from England to Africa. I can get into any library based using this. If I ask my students to pull out their cell phone or pull out their laptop, there is a reason. Technology can help us, but at the same time, technology can be the deterrent and each and every one of your child from not achieving their goals. So this is one of the best rules for me as an educator, and I know for you as well. It saves you a whole lot, because online bullying has gotten to be tremendous with TikTok, Snapchat.
The majority
Instagram.
of our discipline problem at the high school level, involves some type of online interaction with another student. The technology is great. We do have technology in our schools. St. Lucie County is pretty much a one-on-one technology-based counties, meaning our students have access to a computer in the classroom on a regular basis. So there is no need to have that cell phone in the schools. They use the computers to do all the technology that we need.
And if you're having a fit right now, guess what? If your child needs to use their cell phone to call you, I know that's what you're saying, right? I know you're saying that right now. Guess what? You know how back in our days we used to raise our hand, teacher, can I have a break, please? You can still do that. Yeah. Can I go to the restroom? Can I go to the main office? I would like to call my mom because I'm not feeling well, and ask for my parents to call me. They can still do this. There's no reason for this to be an issue in the classroom. So please pay attention to that.
I was going to add to that. The students have access to their parents. We have access to the parents. We call. We still have landline in the school.
In the school, exactly.
So if you need to call a parent, we could call them for you if it's that urgent.
I'll pull out my own cell phone and call for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So we really need to protect the kids from that cell phone to make sure, they are learning the content, because we really need them to learn the content.
Back in my days, it was okay for me to be registered at any school without having to worry about my immigration status. Mm-hmm. Is that still the case today? Do you have to ask a child for their immigration status today?
The beauty of one of the beauties of America is all of us are entitled to an education, whether we have papers or not. I am not an immigration lawyer. I do not work for immigration. All I know is if a student show up on our doorstep, we will register that student. We will teach them. We'll leave the rest to those who take care of immigration and immigration law. We are educators, so all we do is educate our children.
As an educator, I brought this question onto the platform because I want to make sure that every parent understands your child has the right to an education in America. When I came to the United States, I did not have papers. For the first 9 years, actually, I was on what we call a pending status, meaning they didn't have TPS back then, but I was allowed to have a middle school education, a high school education, and a college education, which allowed me to be an educator for the past 37 years. And I'm giving back, and I still feel like no matter how old I am, I can always give back to America. So please fight and advocate for these rights to remain as is, as we make changes within the administrations continue to fight for these?
Without an education, a person can be a danger to society. And let me explain that. Education allows us the freedom to be able to read. Imagine if someone is driving. You can learn the technical skill of driving, but if you can't read the signs that are on the road, you can be a danger for a pedestrian that's on that road. You can be a danger for somebody else that is driving on the road. So education is the foundation for our democracy, and we must always remember education is pivotal to any society.
Undocumented children are living in fear, living in extreme fear. Undocumented parents are living in extreme fear, participating in sports, participating in activities. They are afraid of doing so, but yet they could also give. How do you or other administrators make it relevant to the children that you're teaching, making sure that they know and understand, hey, you have the same right as everybody else?
Every student that attend our schools have the same right as any other student. Meaning, if one is allowed to participate in a sport activity or any extracurricular activity, all can participate, granted that they fill the required paperwork to participate. The schools do not discriminate against anyone when it comes to participation.
The only required paperwork is a birth certificate, regardless to where you're from.
Right.
Okay, and a 2.0. If they are registered on that school campus,
That's right.
the parents need to fill out the physical paper and get them into sports.
Yeah.
I bring this up because for those of you who do not understand, let me explain something to you real quick. I know we're doing an interview here, but there are some things that when I get to it, we've got to deal with it as educators as well.
Sure.
$15 an hour is what everybody's been fighting for as minimum wage. 40 hours a week, that gives you what, $600. 50 weeks, that gives you $30,000. Take away 25%, that leaves you with $22,000, $22,500. If you have worked that much and yet you cannot pay for an apartment for the year because your apartment is at a minimum right now, $1,500 to $2,000. Pay the light bill, it's already $2,000. 2,000 times 12 is $24,000, which means you're going to be working hard. Whereas athleticism, together with academics, open doors that many of us could never open for our children, which allows a football player the minimum professionally making $250,000. Basketball players, same thing. Soccer players are now making 100 and plus in America. So we're saying it is important for your child to participate. In addition to that, when they participate in sports, it opened doors for them for the colleges.
Well, that's what I was going to add. You know, it's not only going professional,
Yes.
even if they do not
Even
go
if they
professional,
don't go, yes.
You know, they earn scholarships for college.
Higher education.
Higher education. You know, some
better
student
job.
athletes, they earn scholarship and have full right to college. So it's not just going to pro, and they attend college. The future just open up. The future is just a little brighter for them. So it is it is extremely important for the students to participate in athletics. You are speaking to a former, how would I say this?
From an athlete.
From an athlete. I played 3 sports in high school. I was nominated in one as the best athlete of my graduating senior class in 1991. So it is extremely important to get the kids involved in the sports. Not only will it keep them physically active, keep them out of trouble after school hours are over, but also open opportunities for them to earn scholarships.
Your generation and my generation, we've made our way through the hustle and bustle.
Yes, sir.
We had the immigration issues back then, as they're having their immigration issues today. What would be one of the best statement that you would make to any child growing up right now, whether it's the fact that they're already American citizen, they were born here, but to this generation, what do you have to pass on to this generation as they look at you right now with the tie in your neck saying, hey, I'm Alpha Phi Alpha. You know, I stand for something proud. I'm an administrator. I'm an educator. I'm looking forward to getting my doctorate degree. I'm looking forward to putting in another 12 years in the system, building my family. I'm living the American dream, and I was an immigrant child not so long ago.
You know, this is a personal question.
Yes, sir.
Because I can clearly remember the days that my mom was having a difficult time putting food on our table growing up in New York. I can recall a time when my mom was out on the street at 11 o'clock looking for a place to sleep the next morning with 3 children in New York in the middle of winter. And being in a position that I am today, I am grateful for all the sacrifices that my mom made, my aunt, my cousins, and some of my family members for me to be here. So I really stand on the shoulders of these giants. And the next generation that's coming up, they need to understand what we are building is legacy now. We must continue to build that legacy for the next generation. We cannot afford to go backwards. We have to continue moving forward. You have to go to school, learn a trade, get your education, and continue to pass that education to the next generation. The one thing we need to ensure that we continue to do is read, read, read. We do not want to hide anything from our people. We want to make sure you read, because when you open that book and read, your mind opens up. You have other opportunities that you will see. You will learn more. The more you read, the more you learn. So if I can pass one thing on to the next generation, please read every day. Every day. Because if you don't read every day, you have nothing new to say.
I am reading out of my cell phone. I can click every time. I love my cell phone. People will see me all the time. SALUSA, you're always on your phone. I love to research. When the cell phone came, I was like, thank God for this. Not the flip phone, but these smartphone. For a lot of people, it's not so smart, but for me, it is very smart because I know how to navigate, to find information, to have information at my fingertip, not having to go to a library, not having to go to a college campus, not having to travel 8 hours, or to go to Haiti, for example. And I think, what year was it? 15 years ago? Before 2010, and 2008. I think it was. I went to Haiti. I was doing research, and I needed to know some stuff, and I had to go into the archives. Today, all of these things that I was looking for in the archives are right here at the palm of my hand.
At your fingertips.
I walked from Carrefour down to Croix-des-Bouquets, up to Pétionville, all the way up to Saint Marc, from Saint Marc to Gonaïve, from Gonaïve to Cap-Haïtien, from Cap-Haïtien to Port-de-Paix, and then go down to Jacmel, Léogane, Grand Guave, Tigouave, Miragouane, to do the research and to make sure that these information are right here for people to find. This is a very good friend, but yet it could be your worst enemy. A lot of us are losing our children today by use of this phone. At 11 o'clock at night, our children are not sleeping. They're on this phone, and this phone is guiding them in the wrong direction. How should parents animate the power of the phone from your perspective to bring out the best young men or young women that they can bring, but still utilizing this cell phone for something positive.
I recall growing up in New York, one of the TV stations at 10 o'clock, it would ask, it's 10 o'clock.
It's 10 o'clock.
Do you know where your children are? Right? Do you know where children is? Right?
Yeah.
It is that same mindset. We have to monitor what our children are watching.
You can't take my phone away.
We have to monitor what our children are doing.
No, not my phone.
Unfortunately, at an earlier age, I did not allow my children to have a cell phone until I believed they were mature enough to handle it. Because the cell phone can be destroy their mind, really. But it can also build their mind.
Build the mind as
based on how they use that cell phone. And for us, it's really about monitoring. If they monitor the cell phone in the right way, they can use it as a weapon to really enhance their knowledge.
Forgive me for a minute. Remember what he just said, because he's not done. I'm about to tell you a story. A young man who plays soccer for me, always on his cell phone, always playing games. One afternoon, the father says, "Get off the phone. I need you to do something educational on your phone and show me what you did on that phone." He went on and he Googled how to administer CPR on his phone and watched that clip, 5-minute clip, for 1 full hour, and then went back and showed the father how to administer CPR. Guess what happened to the father that same night?
Had a heart attack.
The father had a heart attack. Guess who saved the father?
Yeah.
That same son saved the father because of what he learned on these phones. These phones, as educators, we're not saying not to use them. We're saying, as parent, you have a duty to make sure you administer properly. You have to be the administrator of your home. You need to make sure that your children are giving a task to do something positive with these cell phones. Do you know what your children are doing when they're on their cell phone?
That's right.
My guest for today started explaining his point of views and what you parents need to do. And your final words to the parents.
My final words to parents is our children are not just the future. They are here now. We can't wait for the future to educate them. We have to educate them now. And for us to educate them, we have to guide them. Meaning, we have to ensure that we provide them with the resources that they need to learn. First and foremost, their attendance. If they are not in school, I cannot teach them, we cannot teach them. So the first step is for them to be in school. No excuses, come to school. The second thing is to ensure that they are doing the work that the teacher is asking them to do, because that's where the learning is taking place. We spend 6.5 hours at the school on any given day, but they spend the majority of the time with you at the house in the afternoon. If they're coming home, they're not doing the homework. They're not the parents are not
You're addressing my final question. Homework. A lot of our kids in Haiti, where they used to have chapters to study, but now they come home here. Oh, mommy, bagay devoir no. Oh, mommy, no homework. No tiene. How do you say homework? I don't have homework.
Got out.
I don't have homework. How do we make sure that our parents follow through? Because I know that the school system also has technology set in place for teachers to make sure that parents are aware of that.
So the parents need to stay connected with the schools. Okay, so the students, whether they have homework or not on one particular day, they're not going to go throughout the whole year with not having anything to do when they get home. Learning have to take place outside of the school as well.
Something's wrong.
So the parents need to contact the school counselors, contact the school and find out, contact the teachers.
How often should parents contact their school counselors, and contact their teachers throughout the year?
Listen, I'm a parent. I had 2 children that went through St. Lucie County schools. Whenever I notice a deficiency in my students, if there is one, I will call the teacher. I will call the school counselor. I would say, as often as you can, to ensure your student is on track where they need to be. There is no set number of time you can call. We are here to serve the community. So when
I am an addict.
when I receive a phone call from parents, within 24 hours, I will give you a call back to let you know what's going on. So if you call, I do not get back to you, you call again. Because you are the best advocate for your child. So call. We will give you the information that you need.
Ladies and gentlemen, Alex Auger was our guest. He is a principal right here in Port St. Lucie County. The name of your school again?
Treasure Coast High School. I'm the assistant principal at
Treasure Coast High School. It's one of the largest high schools in Port St. Lucie. And we're going to wish him well throughout the year. And if you need our assistant for Jaspo TV, we'll be there for you. Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure to have you, sir.
It was a pleasure to be on the show.
It's a pleasure.